something. It's a bit of an age-old boxing debate. It's been going on for years, as long as I can remember. Fighters like Lennox Lewis used to talk about not having sex before a fight. I remember watching old interviews with him, and I think in your world it's called NoFap, isn't it? In the life coaching world. Now, this debate has been raging on, and a lot of people have differing views on it. But you're an expert in this field, the NoFap field, and you actually think. Well, I'll let you tell us what you think about a boxer and sex before a fight.
Yeah, so I'm close because everything's always in shades of grey usually, but this one is one of those ones where it basically isn't, and I'm close to 100% certain saying if you're a boxer, you're serious about your craft, you want to go in there, risk your life, and then do in the other person. Do not masturbate before a fight. There may be a case for some sort of sex, I think, like maybe tantric sex and stuff like that, if you can do it really good with moving the energy around in a very sophisticated way. But even then, man, there's a certain depletion to it. So, I mean, I'm just wondering where to start with this. Like, masturbation is a draining thing. Okay, that's when it's all said and done. There's a force inside you that grows up called libido, right? And this is both spiritual and like you see this in mainstream psychotherapy, like the Jungians, for example, talk about that. And it's like this like spiritual pressure and this drive, and you can see this with the thought experiments. So like you can imagine just the way that you get your work done. And then if you just like watch some porn or something and have a wank, you're just like, you don't feel right doing much. You just like sit down and just relax. So you can see the difference there from having a higher libido level and a lower libido level. Now, like masturbation drains your libido away, and it does a lot worse than that actually. Like I think, well, I know from like doing tons of coaching, it's associated with a lot of poor self-esteem. Spiritually, I know I don't want to go too much into the spiritual stuff because I know a lot of people get turned off by that, but it is a fact that it makes your aura weak. And you find that if you let that NoFap sort of like libidinal power grow up, like people feel that, every kind of week or few days that you carry on with that, people feel it. But the other side is that the danger is when you do the fapping, like, your self-esteem goes, your energy goes, your creativity goes, your winning energy goes. So like, and also like things like depression and like other mental disorders creep in too, and it's not just with professional athletes, people like that. Like I've had this conversation with people through all walks of life, and I when I coach them, I often get them to do these like spreadsheets where they like track things like how much you're training, what's your nutrition like are you masturbating, watching porn, and you can see that basically always, and this is in my life too. Like if I start doing that stuff, or if my clients start doing that stuff, the life goes down. But equally, particularly if they had a problem with lots of masturbation and lots of porn watching, which is also bad for a bunch of separate reasons, then things just start to improve. It makes you a lot more attractive to the opposite sex too when you keep up with that stuff. There's a whole thing in the pickup artist community where they recognize that like for dating women and being attractive in the dating game, it helps so much if you're not masturbating.
How long before a fight are we talking here, Rich? How long before a fight? Because this varies. Some. I remember interviews with Lennox Lewis. He's talking about 2 weeks before a fight. But I think you're talking about a lot longer as well, aren't you?
I do the whole camp. I'd say camps are usually like 6 weeks, something like that, aren't they?
Yeah, it depends what type of level, right? If it's a world title camp, it could be up to 12 weeks. But generally it's going to be between 6 to 10 weeks, really.
Yeah. Okay. So I'd say just as soon as the camp starts, like it's game on, no masturbation, no porn. And if you see sexual, even like for a world level athlete like that, sexual thoughts coming in, let it go, let it pass through you. Because like, remember, if you're looking at your psyche, like if there's a massive chunk of your energy going into like ruminating about these sexual thoughts and that kind of thing, that's a whole chunk of you that's now going in and creating this, rather than focusing on the one target on hand: train hard, go to war, win. And this thing just kind of like saps your energy. More than that, like it builds a certain weakness into the system too. Like if you're ruminating about that stuff, like it kind of, yeah. Here's a funny thing: like you can think about like sex offenders and stuff. Like like the way they're portrayed in films and stuff. They always have these really weak voices, don't they? They're always like. The answer is when you get into the deep psychology and the spiritual angle of this, that whole thing builds a freaking weakness inside you. Whereas like if you know intuitively, you know instinctively, if someone hasn't been masturbating for ages, they're not watching the porn, they got all this fucking energy, just annoying, disagreeable, angry energy boiling up inside them, then that's going to be quite the advantage to take with them into the ring, I would say. And like from, I don't know how many hundreds of hours of coaching I've done on this, maybe thousands, but like